After months of slaving away, pushing myself to my absolute limits, I finally done the impossible. I beat the hardest challenge known to man. I got a PS5. That's a flex by the way. I had to kill 5 people to get this thing. So although I'm a few months late to the party, I thought I'd review the 3 main exclusives that PS5 has to offer. No, not you. You can fuck off, you depressed looking Rocket League. Starting with Demon Souls, because this is what you're all interested in, since it is the closest thing we're getting to Knack 3. It's a lot like Dark Souls, so much so apparently it is Dark Souls. Demon Souls is a remake, taking the original and giving it one of the biggest glow-ups in gaming, because this game looks really good now. Just look at those Tagliatelle nipples swing. They even added quality of life improvements whilst keeping the base game intact and faithful to the original, with the biggest improvement, without a doubt, is that you now can play as Knack.
I like this. This is cute.
If you've played or even have some knowledge of the Souls games, you know what to expect. Punishing but fair stamina based combat, cryptic storytelling, and some weird ass lady that everyone loves to fetishize over. In short, this game is really good. Obviously, because the game is faithful to the original, there are aspects that haven't aged too well, as everything in this game is a lot more experimental, laying the groundwork for one of the most iconic franchises in recent years. The bosses aren't particularly difficult, and for the most part are pretty basic in comparison to the bosses we've come to expect in the Souls series. Which, let me be clear, doesn't mean the fights aren't fun. There are some great bosses in this game, and for the most part, they all look so goddamn cool. But then again, you've got Phalanx. Ah yes, the slime with shields. What a mighty foe.
Finally, a worthy opponent. Our battle will be legendary.
This is something I love about Demon Souls and always loved about the Souls series, the absolutely insane unique looking bosses and enemies which you actually get to fight without it being a glorified cutscene. Apart from Wreck-It Ralph over here. Fucking dickhead. Tangent aside, as someone who originally hadn't played Demon Souls but played every other game in the series, it's just such a cool experience to see the groundwork that set up the later games, and of course it's going to be easier going back, as I've now had years of experience with these games. But even without getting that soul crushing difficulty, making progress and killing tough enemies was still really satisfying and addicting. Where the difficulty actually lies is, well, getting a PS5, which for this my tip would be to simply bring an 1862 Gatling gun, which is probably easier to get your hands on, all things considered. But even if you get past that hurdle, the true difficulty in this game lies within the walls. I mean that literally. These fucking walls! Oh, I mean it when I say these walls are the bane of my existence. Anytime you try to do a normal attack, you hit the fucking walls! Which is even harder for me because I'm Scottish, which means I'm legally required to use a claymore, and that thing's bigger than the Loch Ness Monster. A lot of your time in Demon Souls is in tight corridors, which means if you're trying to do any other attack than a overhead attack, you might as well accept death. But even with its issues and dated aspects, the general gameplay loop is still incredibly fun and rewarding, not to mention how great it is to explore these amazing and diverse looking worlds. Apart from the constant need for tight corridors, the level design surprised me fairly often, shaking up the game in interesting ways, making each world feel even more distinct. And of course, the game looks great, runs flawlessly at 60, and has an incredibly short load times, which make it a great game to start the next generation with. Overall, I'd have to give Demon Souls a pufferfish out of 10. Now on to Spider-Man Ray Tracing the Game, which is the follow-up to the PS4 Spider-Man where you now play as Miles Morales, protecting the city whilst Peter leaves the country to get his hole with MJ. This game is very similar to the PS4 Spider-Man, which is kinda where everyone takes issue with the game, but that aside, I'm going to be honest, this game is fantastic, with a stellar soundtrack, improved gameplay, which was already great, and a pretty decent story, although there are some off moments. Pete mate, World War III is going down in New York, and you're fine leaving your apprentice to fix everything whilst you get your hole, you greedy, filthy bastard!
With great power comes great big booty bitches.
The only thing holding this game back is its very short runtime and the fact it feels more like a large expansion than something totally new, which wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't a full price AAA game. You can play in fidelity mode, prioritizing graphics and providing ray tracing whilst running at 30 FPS, which I will say the ray tracing is incredibly cool, but to be honest, other than that, I couldn't really notice a sizable difference. Go ahead, leave your comment, tell me how I'm blind and how it's unplayable without those 4 extra pixels, you bunch of eagle-eyed wallopers. I ended up just switching to fidelity mode every so often throughout the campaign just to see how cool it was. Then I'd promptly switch back to the performance mode, because if you're not playing on the performance mode, you really are missing out. The Spider-Man games already feel amazing to play, but with those extra 30 frames, it makes an insane difference, making the combat and web slinging so much smoother. And if you're no convinced, play the performance mode for 5 minutes, then go back to fidelity mode. I guarantee you will notice a major difference. Although I don't have too much to say, I had a really good time with Miles Morales, even if I completed it the day after I got it. It's not life changing, but it's a damn solid experience. Definitely worth playing if you enjoy the Spider-Man games, because this is another incredible Spider-Man game. But then again, you can take a cat in a bag but not a dog. That's shite. And finally, what everyone's been waiting for, Astros Playroom. Now goddamn, this was a lot better than I expected. This game is the appreciation of the PlayStation brand, and a bloody good one at that. This is genuinely the most I've enjoyed a platformer in years. So Astros Playroom is a platforming collectathon that comes installed on the PS5. It has you travelling through 5 distinct worlds, platforming, killing Tekashi 69s, collecting PlayStation relics, and drawing penises on the touchpad. Everything from the movement to the combat feels solid, which on its own is fun. But if you're a PlayStation fan, finding collectibles and Easter eggs is where the game truly becomes fantastic. It's just so fun going through the worlds looking for references to your favourite game series, or trying to work out the ones you're not quite sure on. Is this Bloodborne? I think this is Bloodborne. Finding the collectibles themselves is really rewarding. You get an insanely detailed model to look at, which is always cool seeing your favourite old consoles or Sony's failed experiments. You're always looking forward and anticipating what memory you're going to dig up next. Also, I want to mention the collectibles are so much more satisfying to collect when they're not just stashed away in a menu. You come back to your hub and you can see everything you've collected and interact with them. It just makes collecting all the collectibles so much more satisfying. I'm not normally a fan of collecting collectibles, but when they're done this well, it is so fun. Rather than just being like a generic star, sorry Mario, I'm throwing you shade, it's just really satisfying to collect unique pieces. And off top of that, the game makes an incredible use of the new features the DualSense brings to the table, makes every action all that more satisfying, and every world that more immersive. Also, for the short runtime, they still find so many ways to keep every moment unique, always changing things up with new fun mechanics. This game is cute, fun, and just a pure joy to play if you're a PlayStation fan. Sure, if you don't like PlayStation or platformers, it's definitely not for you, but it's just a nice surprise to see Sony put so much effort into this game, which so many people will be so quick to write off as another tech demo. Yeah, I did forget about Sackboy, but let's be honest, the Little Big Planet franchise is just a rip-off of Demon's Souls at the end of the day. I haven't went into as much detail into these games as I would have liked, but that's simply because I wasn't originally planning on reviewing them. So this was the best I could do with my feeble memory, and if anyone's got a problem with that, take it up with Gandhi or something.